don't stop applying to the jobs. Don't stop reaching out to people to network. Don't stop taking classes to continue your education. Don't stop going to your yoga class to take care of yourself, or whatever it is that you do to take care of yourself. Stay in the trust, but know that, like, yeah, it sucks to be in that space, and it's okay. Like, it's really uncomfortable. It's so cliche, but the only way out really is through.
Welcome to In Her Words. This podcast is for women navigating through change, career, identity, motherhood, and just figuring out what's next. I'm Roberta Dombrowski, host of In Her Words and founder of Learn Mindfully. Each episode, I sit down with women who are asking big questions, navigating transitions, and trying to make sense of life as it shifts. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need space to be real. Let's get into it. Welcome, Kitty, to In Her Words. So excited to have you.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought we could kick us off. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your background and journey. I know that you're currently kind of multicultural, living in 2 different countries right now. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, that's been my life, I think, really since I was born. I was born in Mexico City, and about 2 weeks later, my family moved to Connecticut. So really, since my whole life has been a little bit back and forth. So we lived in Connecticut until I was about 12, then moved back to Mexico City for a year, and then back to Connecticut again, and then back to Mexico City. So there was like a ton of back and forth moving while I was growing up. And then, I finished high school in Mexico City and went to college in the US and worked there for a few years, met my husband in New York where we were both living. And then after COVID, I left my corporate role working at L'Oreal, and he and I were both working from home in our apartment, 1 bedroom. And we were just not, it wasn't ideal for us.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my husband's a little bit older, and a lot of his friends had already had kids and left the city. So we were just missing our community and thought, it's time for a move. We're both working from home. We don't really need to be in New York City anymore. And my husband grew up going to northern Michigan his whole life every summer. And so when we were deciding like where to go next, it just made sense to go back to Mexico City, where I'm from, where my family is, where a lot of my friends are. And a lot of my friends actually moved back to Mexico City also after COVID. A lot of them who were Mexican living in the US moved back. And so it just made sense to be here and be with friends and family. And we're very privileged, and we get to spend a few months, well, half the year in the US in Michigan, and half the year we're able to sublet our apartment and
Wow.
and leave Mexico City.
That sounds so beautiful. That is the dream. I grew up in Buffalo, and me and my husband always talk about being like snowbirds someday, of just going down to the south for the winter. So
Yes. And one little tip, Reed and I do something called home exchange. And so you can literally swap houses with people. And for this is the little promo for home exchange. And you can swap houses with people all around the world. So that's also a really fun way to travel pretty affordably, because it's
nice.
free essentially, and get to explore the world in that way too.
That's amazing. So are you in a home exchange right now in the place that you're staying?
No, I'm not, but we have done that
Yeah.
for like extended-ish periods
That's
of time.
so cool. I imagine that the traveling, the navigating different cultures has really colored kind of your perspective of just the world and, yeah, interacting with other people as well.
Yeah, I think I often wonder, if I hadn't lived in Connecticut, if moving to this tiny little town in northern Michigan would feel okay for me, because it was a culture shock when I moved back to Mexico when I was little. And then it was a kind of a culture shock when I moved back to the US again. The way I kind of think about it is I really sometimes feel like in Mexico, I'm an American, and in the US, I'm Mexican. I think it's made me very adaptable and also like hyper aware of my surroundings.
Yeah, I understand.
Which is a good thing, bad thing.
I understand. I'm a transracial adoptee. I don't know if I shared this with you before, but I was born in Colombia as a baby and then grew up in Buffalo and everything. And so I very much relate to the when you're in one environment, like you have a part of your identity that you're highlighting when you're in another. It's a different kind of environment, a different identity. So I imagine that as a child, it was very jarring. And then it sounds like now you've kind of claimed how you want to spend your time and where you want to navigate living and being.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that with me. I didn't know, but yeah, I mean, in that way, it's like the contrasts are highlighted. When you're not in the space where I guess you're used to being. Yeah, and I think it takes time. I think like every move I've had, I always like give myself 6 months to
That is
adjust
smart.
because it takes
It
time.
does.
It just like moving is a lot. I mean, now it's different because we're going back and forth to places we're very familiar
Yeah.
with. But at the beginning, I tried to give myself those 6 months of like, if you hate it, just wait.
Yeah.
You have to give time to building community and give time to finding your groove.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For some reason, the metaphor of a plant just came into my mind when you were saying that because it's very much I feel like we as humans are very similar to plants is that if you are transplanting a plant or you're moving them for an environment, you give them time to adjust to the environment, the temperature, the scenarios. But I feel like as people, when we move, we may put pressure on ourselves to kind of adjust into this new environment when it's like, no, you just like plants, we have to give ourselves time to ease into the new surroundings and adjust. So,
Oh my gosh, that's so true. You really have to. I mean, even now, like, yes, we're familiar. I don't give myself 6 months because that would be the amount of time that I'm
yeah.
there. But I give myself like three
Yeah.
weeks because the first 2 weeks, I'm a mess. I mean, my mind is all over the
Yeah.
place. My surroundings are a mess. I'm unpacking,
Yeah.
So it
Y
takes time to
Yeah,
settle.
yeah. I'm wondering if you can share with us a little bit about your journey in corporate. You mentioned, like, living in New York City and working at L'Oreal. Yeah, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, of course. So I studied business at George Washington University in DC, and I remember. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing studying business. Like, I applied to work to go to GW, and I don't know. At one point, I checked off a box for the business school. Like, I don't even remember. And I remember when I got my acceptance letter, and my dad saw that I'd been accepted to the business school, and he like lit up. Like, he was so excited for me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to business school. And whatever, I stayed there. I didn't, I minored in psychology. I think maybe we've talked
Yeah.
about this. And I always was like, why did I study psychology? But anyway, once it came times for, applying to work, there were a lot of recruiters at my school for consulting agencies, consulting firms. And I was just like, what am I going to do at a consulting firm? It never made sense to me. I'm like, I'm a college student. What kind of consulting am I meant to give people? Like, I don't know anything.
Lived experience.
So it didn't make sense to me. I was not, yeah, I wasn't excited about applying to a consulting firm. And then one day, L'Oreal came to recruit at my school. And I was like, ooh, colors and creativity. And I was super excited for that recruitment meeting. I remember it perfectly. And they talked about all the different brands that they had, which I had no idea that L'Oreal owned so many brands. I mean, like most brands that you have
Yeah.
in your bathroom cabinet, probably like 70% of them are L'Oreal. And so anyway, I got like super lit up and I like made it my mission. I was like, I need to get an internship. They were recruiting for a summer internship between like your junior to senior year. And it became like, it's all I could think about. I would like go to all the L'Oreal stores that I could. I would go to Sephora and just look at the products, and I was on a mission. And so I applied and thankfully I got in. And then that summer I lived with my sister in New York, and we were, because she was living there and I was working at L'Oreal, and it was an amazing experience. Even the application for the internship was like the most intense application I've ever had. It was like a full weekend of interviews and case studies, and they flew a ton of kids in to apply. And yeah, after that, I got offered a full-time role, and I started working there immediately after graduating school and moved to New York, which was a dream of mine. I'd wanted to live in New York for a long time, and it was really exciting to like, I walked through Grand Central Station every morning to get to the office, and it was, my dad worked in New York when I was growing up, so I felt like I was like honoring him in a
Yeah.
way, and kind of you have that in your mind of like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So I was like really feeling that as I was working there, especially the first few years. And I worked in marketing and product development. So it was a really creative role where you're really getting to come up with a product idea and make it happen and see it from an idea in your brain to a product on a shelf. And there's so much cross-functional relationship building. And I would say like in marketing that, it was a lot of following timelines and making sure people are doing what they need to be doing. So it was a really challenging role, but I think it prepared me for like everything I've done since then. And I loved it. I think what kept me there though were like the relationships that I built and the teams I worked with, because product development, like while I really enjoyed it, it didn't feel really like something I wanted to be doing for my whole life. I missed like the human aspects and like working really closely with people, which is what we get to do now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm curious, did you have like a culminating moment where you're like, I can't do this anymore, this product work or anything like that?
Uh, I mean, I've looked back on like journals from my time there, and it was like really since like the first year, I was like journaling that like I can't be here and like, but I don't know what to do, like I was there for like 7, 8 years, and the whole time, I mean, I stayed there for a long time. So obviously there was so much that kept me there, like really, really great things that kept me there. But from day one, I was like, this isn't what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I needed to like give myself time, and I was living in New York. I wasn't just gonna quit and not have a plan. Like, how was I gonna pay for my life,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I stayed until I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back to school to be a psychologist. I talked to a lot of therapists, like informational interviews. And after that, I was like, wait, actually, I don't know that this is my path. I don't know if there was a culminating moment, back to your actual
It sounds
question.
like it was a slow
I
build though.
It was a slow build.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And then I think it was just like, I think COVID definitely, helped us, a lot of us slow down.
Yeah.
And it was more time spent at home and more time journaling and being with myself and thinking like, okay, it's time to make a change. It's kind of now or
Yeah.
not now or never, but like, why not now?
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned COVID and also your experience like first year in, because I was in product as well. And that's when I decided to switch out was COVID. Like I describe it like I knew from the first few months into the product role. I always describe it as like a pair of jeans that were too tight or like they didn't fit quite right. You know what I mean? Like or like a pair of
Like,
shoes, and
you
I was
could
like,
walk in them,
yeah, like
but
it's good, but you're gonna get some blisters. Like it's gonna be uncomfortable. And then COVID happened, and it was just a force slowing down for so much of society to really be like, is this really what lights me up? What gives me energy? And that's when one of my transitions happened as well. And yeah, what a visceral moment for so much of the world to go through that at the same
yeah,
time.
the whole world.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it was definitely an experience that I think we're still living through the after effects of
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
one way or
Yeah.
another.
So you knew you wanted to change, but you weren't exactly sure. It sounds like you were thinking about psychology.
Hmm.
How did you kind of make the next step? What did you do after you left your job?
Yeah, so I worked with a coach. She worked at L'Oreal and she was starting this group coaching program. It was like, I think 9 weeks. I don't remember. It was like, I think a 9 or 12 week group coaching program. We would meet every week. And I was like, I should invest in this and like see what the deal is with coaching and see if it's something that I would enjoy. And going through that program, I was like, okay, I really like this. And I think it was like halfway through that program that I finally signed up for my coaching certification, which was, just goes to show the power of coaching. I think that program gave me like the accountability because I said like, I want to sign up for this coaching program. And, like 2 weeks later, the coach leading the program was like, okay, how about that sign up? Like, did you do it? What's going on? I was like, okay, I didn't do it yet. I'm going to do it. And I like was able to sign up before or apply before the program ended. And I'd been teaching yoga already for a few years, just like on the side. And so when I finished my certification and I didn't even have a client yet, and I resigned. But I gave them like 4 months
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah.
So I was definitely like dragging my feet a little bit, but also needed to just do it. And I had like I still have an online yoga membership. So I was building that. So I had that when I left. So I was at least had something to like occupy my mind and my time. But I was like I was a mess when I left L'Oreal. I had no idea what I was doing. In my mind it was like, oh well, I've worked at like the number one beauty company in the world and ran the number one hair care brand in the US, and I know what I'm doing running a business. No. Like it is
How was it different? Yeah.
everything is different. I mean, like it's all on your own. You at L'Oreal, you have an idea and it's like, great, see who can help you make this happen and see who you need to talk to. And there's so much networking. And so I definitely took a lot of what I learned at L'Oreal, and I pretty soon after I did actually join a networking group called BNI, which was really cool. There's different chapters throughout the US, and you're not allowed to have the same, like everyone in the group is from a different industry. So you'll have a lawyer, a trademark attorney, a coach, a financial advisor, closet organizer. Like it's all different industries, and you meet every week and you recommend people to work with you and people send you business. So that was really cool. And I felt like, okay, that's like my little team that I have that, I kind of was able to jump into. But everything was different. I mean, even from just having so much free time, that hadn't happened to me like maybe ever
Yeah.
before in
Yeah.
my whole life, to just have like this abundance of time.
And it can be really jarring because it's like a nervous system thing. You go from like being in meetings and collaboration to now like, wow, my calendar's open.
It's so open, and I had to learn how to sell
Yeah.
because in my certification, we learned how to coach, but then I had no idea how to sell. I never had to like sell anything before myself, So yeah, a lot of investing in my energy and time and money in learning and, buying more courses to learn how to do
Yep.
these things. And they really paid off, thankfully. But I think it was about, yeah, the first few months, especially, I just like, what am I selling? What am I excited? Who am I excited to work with? Who can I actually help? So that just took a few months. And it's like a process that is always changing because your skills are changing, your experience is changing. So you can always help different people as you're growing in your coaching journey.
Yeah. I'm curious because you mentioned like being the mess after you left L'Oreal, and like staying, you must have had a vision to keep you going over time. Like, how did you stay courageous despite all of the fears, the apprehension, the unknown as well?
Yeah. I think the people who I had around me, like at the time I was already dating my now husband. We were living together. So I had like that, I had him,
Yeah.
which really helped me. I remember just like going, and we were both working from home, and I'd just like occasionally like go up to him and just be like, Reed, like, what am I doing? Like, what did I just do? And he would remind me like, did you think this was going to be easy? Like what were you expecting? This like a kind reminder. Like, yeah, of course this is hard. Like you're not doing it wrong because you're figuring out what you're doing and that's uncomfortable. Like, yeah, you just quit your job and you're starting your own business. Like it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like that tough love of like, or just a reality check of like, don't worry that you're not like thriving in your business yet.
Yeah. It almost sounds like an expectation that you had for yourself to be thriving, and then he's like,
Yes.
"Nah, you know
Oh my
what?
gosh.
Like, not quite
And
yet." Yeah.
yeah, and I was used to having my city paycheck for 7 years every month. And yeah, I had this expectation, even though I knew that that wasn't feasible in a way, that like I was going to leave and it was like, I'm going to make the same amount of money immediately. And it's like, no, you're not at all. I mean,
No.
I didn't have that expectation because like I did save up before I
Yeah.
left, knowing like, oh, it's going to take me months to build this. but there was a part of me that was like, but maybe I will. It's like, no, you
I'll prove
won't.
myself wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. No.
Absolutely. And it sounds like what your husband brought was really like a self-compassion check, like of just
Yeah.
like, give yourself some time. It's okay.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
You talked a little bit about your journey with yoga. I'm curious, self-care is a theme that comes up with a lot of people nowadays, like especially people who are high achievers, they're driven. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about kind of your journey with self-care and your yoga experience.
Yeah, I mean, yoga has been my like savior. Like I started practicing yoga. I struggled with an eating disorder when I was like 16, 15, 16, and I started going to therapy for it when I was like 17, and my therapist at the time would finish every session with like 10 minutes of yoga. I mean, super simple stretching exercises and meditation. And so she really introduced me to it. And then around at the same time, a few years earlier, I had hurt my back dancing ballet. So I was forced to stop dancing. And a friend from high school invited me to go to a yoga class with her.
Yeah.
And I remember I would like pick her up and we would go to yoga, and I was just like obsessed immediately. I was like, this is I feel like the kind of movement that I've been like, I loved dancing ballet, but there was just something about like having no mirrors around
Yeah.
and just being on the mat and just like moving your body and connecting to the sensations in your body. And yes, it matters how you look because it's important that your alignment is right so that you don't hurt yourself, but it doesn't matter how you look. Like, it really just, for me,
Yeah.
was about feeling my body again. So that was my introduction to yoga, and it just helped me so much. So I immediately was like, okay, this is something I need to continue in my life. And then when I like moved and went to college, I would do it like here and there. I always liked it, but I wasn't super consistent. And then I moved to New York, and I was with a friend, and we bumped into one of her friends on the street, and she was just telling us like, oh yeah, I'm just coming out of yoga class from this place called Yoga to the People. It's right around the corner. And it was like 3 blocks from where I lived. And I was like, oh, I should check out this studio. And it was donation based.
Oh,
So you
wow.
would go and you would pay whatever you could. And I just started going like all the time, like religiously. And they would always be promoting teacher training. And I kept missing the deadline because I was like, I can't be a teacher. Like, that's for other people. And then one time I was practicing at home, and I was like in a half pigeon pose. And I just got that like message, that like intuitive hit of like, sign up for the training. Like, what are you waiting for? And then ever since that, I really wanted to like sign up for that so that like I could teach my parents yoga and teach friends yoga. And it really ended up being so much more than that. Now I get to, working from home, I get to teach a few classes at a studio wherever I live and meet people through there. And it's been like such a community creator. So I love everything about it.
Yeah, it really sounds like it was the embodiment activity to reconnect for yourself and then now others too, like having that space to be able to hold for other people through your membership. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it a lot because it can be so varied. It could just be like laying in a child's pose for an hour, or intense movement if that's what you're
Yeah.
needing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like my own journey, I used to do a lot of like power yoga when I was younger, and now it's a lot of yin yoga and like just like,
Yeah,
it's like especially postpartum, I was just like, nope, this
I
is yeah,
bet.
we're just taking it easy. That's it.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
really is a practice that can move with you through the seasons of life. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the best.
But I'm curious with your transitions because you, from yoga teacher, from being at L'Oreal, from leaving to starting your own practice, how has your definition of success changed over time?
That's a good question. When I was at L'Oreal, I definitely had this like, I feel like a very competitive like drive, especially at the beginning when I first started.
You talk about the application phase. You
The
said you're yeah.
application, yeah, exactly. And then like, they accepted, I don't remember how many of us. It was in the internship, must have been like 10 of us. And there were only a few spots for like full-time roles. So immediately you're just like, all right, I gotta get it. And it's like, yeah, it just like creates this competitive drive in you. And And that's how it was then once you're working there too. I mean, you're in New York, like there's just that flavor living
Yeah.
there, no matter what. So I think definitely like climbing the corporate ladder, even if I didn't want to be there, I was like, but if I'm gonna be here. And so I think success really was not the whole time I was there, but for a long time it was like career. And now, even though I left to do like what my passion was, I think when I left L'Oreal, success was like, I need to make this business work. Like that's success. And right now, I think it is more well-rounded, where like success is time spent with my cat and with my husband and getting to be around friends, getting to take walks in nature, working in something that I really, really love, but also like even if I did like yes, I want to work in something that I really love, but I think maybe less than when I started my business. Like now I just like yeah, I want to be doing what I love, but I also want to make sure that like I like the place I work. If I have to do things that like I'm not super obsessed with, that's okay as long as like I respect the company that I'm working at and I like their mission. Yeah, so it's a little mix of everything.
Yeah, it sounds like you're honoring yourself where like if we think about a wheel, before it was very like career centric, now it is friends, family, work. It's more holistic. It's honoring the different components of who you are and what you believe and want.
Yeah. And like, ultimately what we help our clients with. Like I think it took like the amount of time I've been coaching to help my clients see the full wheel of their life for me to also like through time apply it. It's not like an immediate change, right? It takes forever and I'm still working on it and I will for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I feel like what a lot of people don't understand about coaching, like as coaches, we're holding space for our clients and exploring with them, but we are also doing the deep transformational work as well. It's like a mirror. And when I see a client hit their goal, it like ping pongs back to me. And I'm like, dang, like that spot where I've been hiding in my life or like not deciding to make a decision. It's like, nope, they can do it. I'm helping
100%.
them. Like, yeah.
Yeah, especially this year, I really felt that like towards the like this summer, a lot of my clients were all like each of them kind of growing in different areas, like their focus were on different areas, and all of them I was like, I am so inspired by that. I'm so like I was kind of like taking like learnings from each client that ultimately kind of made me decide like I want to go back to working at a company. I want to, do all these different things that my clients were achieving. And I was like, wow, this is like the best expander. I'm so lucky to be able to work with them and see what they're accomplishing and do the same.
I love that. You talked a little bit about your journey going independent, solo, and then now going back to working at a company. What was kind of the key motivator for that transition again?
Yeah, well, when I was independent, there were, I guess I was so for like, well, and left L'Oreal for like 5 years. And I think it was like 3 of those years I worked with that same coach who I did that group coaching program with. She and I started a company. So we each had our own individual practice. And then we started this company where we would focus on working with companies and do coaching for their employees and sometimes for their customers. So that was really nice because I was kind of working with companies, even though I was on the outside. And the whole time that I had my own company, I had moments of I was free. I did a little bit of freelance marketing for a beauty company, a few beauty companies. I freelanced at a mental health app called Schmoody, creating content for them and workshops with the team. So I always had like my hand in a little bit. And it was like this summer that I didn't. Like this summer that was put on pause and it was just my own one-on-one coaching practice. And I really loved it, but I was like, no, I need more people around me. I want to be in a company. And I gave myself the summer to think like, okay, I feel this itch of like a change needs to happen, like a big change. And let me take the summer to decide if going back to a company is what I want. And by the end of the summer, I was just like, yes, this is what I want. Like for a few reasons, I was feeling a little bit burnt out from like the constant hustle. And yeah, that was a big thing. I was feeling lonely in my business. Like it was just me at home. Thankfully, I was teaching yoga, so the community there was like a gift because, I just made so many friends there and so many of the students are like the same students every time. So that was really nice. But I was like, I need something that's more steady and that I'll be able to work with people around me and build something not alone. So that was a big thing. And then I just decided to start applying. I applied to more jobs than I remember. And thankfully, the one job that reached back out was Athena because all of the other ones were back to marketing. They were all like beauty marketing jobs or marketing also for other companies. And, I was like, I'm just going to apply to everything and see what hits. And thankfully, the one that did was coaching because that's really what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah, that resonates a lot. I went through a similar experience over the summer of like one-on-one
Really?
practice. Yeah. And like missing people. And then what people don't, I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, like at least when you're starting your business, there's a lot of like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. There's a lot of like passion and energy.
Yeah.
And then like check in 3 years later, like you're saying, and it's like it's a lot of hustle, it's a lot of growth marketing, it's a lot of putting yourself out there. And energy wise, at least coming off of maternity leave, I was like, I don't have the energy for this anymore. And I applied to research roles because that's like product research, that's like my background. But I always called it like this waffling phase. Like it was like this chapter of where I was, which was research and products, versus where I am now and where I want to continue going, which is the coaching route. And it got to a point like I actually wasn't getting responses on research roles because it's like they can tell, like, I'm sure with my application, it's like, whatever, like, here's my resume. Like, I just don't want to be in that world anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very happy that Athena landed both of us, and here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel like it was one of those things where like the universe was like looking out, like you can apply and do what you have to do. Because if I had gotten an offer, maybe I would have taken it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. But like it was one of those things where like I just want to be back in a company.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell I think from everything we chatted about today, the general theme that I'm getting from you is just the collaboration and the community aspect. And it makes sense that you're in a spot now, you're able to collaborate with other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really what I needed.
Yeah. I'm curious, you've gone through a number of transitions yourself. What would you tell others who are considering going through a transition, but maybe don't know? They're in the messy middle. They don't know what's next or what's coming for them.
Yeah, there's this brand that has been like super pivotal for me, like apart from yoga, it's like, one of the tools in my tool belt, apart from like the coaching tools that we have. It's called To Be Magnetic. I don't know if you've
I
heard of
haven't
it.
actually. Yeah.
It's this woman who started it, I think 10 years ago. Her name is Lacey Phillips, and she talks about this phase called the magic dark, which is like that point where like, you're taking the steps to make a change and it hasn't quite happened yet. And it's just like, it's dark. Like it is painful. You're scared that like the change you've been working for isn't going to happen. You're uncomfortable and, but it's magic. It's when things are still underway and it's like, holding that trust that like on the other side, it's there. And while you're in that magic dark, like not giving up, like not stopping, like don't stop applying to the jobs.
Yeah.
Don't stop reaching out to people to network. Don't stop taking classes to continue your education. Don't stop going to your yoga class to take care of yourself or whatever it is that you do to take care of yourself. Stay in the trust, but know that like, yeah, it sucks to be in that space and it's okay. Like it's really uncomfortable and it's like, it's so cliche, but the only way out really is through. And I think like this summer I went through it. I mean, it was like the most uncomfortable summer of my life and applying to those jobs was uncomfortable and like putting myself out there again and networking and reaching out to people and writing to people to be like, hey, like I'm applying to this job. I see you know somebody. Can you put me in contact? Like making the awkward ask, like just doing it. I think like when you're in the transformation or like you're thinking about what's on the other side and you're in that uncomfortable place, I think it's just like, what are those little messages that you're getting to do that are scary? Like, listen to them and do them. For me, it was like, reach out to people. Okay, like it's a little uncomfortable, but like I'm gonna reach out, and people are so willing to help. Like, I think that for me this summer was like, oh my God, everyone who I reached out to was like, yes, Kitty, like, let me know, like, I can chat at this time. I'll help you however I can. And it was like, there's so much help out there if you just move your pride out of the way and ask
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So beautiful. I love that metaphor too. What was it? The magic
The magic dark.
dark.
It's
That's so true.
so true. I love how she's, kind of coined that term, because it's like, yeah, it's super dark. But trust, like when I'm in that space, I'm just like, okay, there's like sparkles around me and magic happening that I can't see because I'm in the dark, but it's happening. And like trusting that it is.
Yeah.
Because that's always the experience.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that I'm a big believer of signals of the universe and just energy. I was actually I do morning pages myself, which I know you do
Me
as
too.
well.
They're the best. They're a game changer.
And I was writing yesterday about how, I transitioned I left my full-time exec role 3 years ago, like 3 years ago exactly. And it has felt like this period of magic dark. And now it's like I have my son, I have like this full-time job that I'm in, I'm interviewing for grad school, right? Like all these things. But the last 3 years has been a lot of like, like this. I'm doing like a trust fall into the universe and like trying all these things and seeing some like outcomes, but not necessarily all of the fruit. But 3 years later, now we can see it all. And it really is. It takes time. It takes time. Yeah.
It takes time. I love those morning pages. I think that was a big thing too that like helped me realize that I needed to make a change. Like I started the artist. Have you done the artist way?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So I started, one of my best friends started an artist way group in early September. And so that's when I started doing morning pages. And my intention was for that program was like, I want my brand Wherever Forever to actually feel more creative, to be more creative and less like business minded and more like my creative outlet. And through that, I realized like, oh, I want to find a full-time job so that Wherever Forever can actually be creative and not put so much pressure on it to bring in my income.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, that's the same thing with my own practice as well. So morning pages is amazing. Over 10 years I've been doing it, which is crazy. I have like upstairs in my bedroom just boxes of journals.
No way.
Yeah. One day it'll be a memoir.
For you. Oh, I needed to hear that. That's such a good thing for me to hear, of like 10 years is possible. Because I finished The Artist's Way and I'm like, stick with the morning pages.
Yeah.
Like, don't stop doing them. But
it's the practice that has
they're
sustained.
A commitment.
Yeah. I would say like I haven't stuck with like the self dates every week as much. Like there's a bunch
the artist dates.
There's like the practices, but the morning pages has sustained. It's something that has stayed with me for many years.
They really,
so.
I mean, they are magic.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I can talk to you all day long, which I'm sure we will later after this episode recording. But how can listeners stay connected to you?
You can follow me on Instagram. I think that's the best way right now. My handle is Wherever Forever. My name is Kitty Gonzalez. And yeah, that's the best way to stay connected with me right now.
Amazing.
For sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining In Her Words.
Thank you, Roberta. This was so fun. I appreciate your time and your questions and the way you led this conversation. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode landed with you, feel free to pass it along to someone who might need it too. You can leave a review, subscribe, or just keep tuning in. We're figuring it out together. And remember, your story, your voice, your becoming, it all matters.